NIte L.O.A.D. Late NIte L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. With Wimmer and Leprechaun. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. With Wimmer and Leprechaun.
Oh man, I want to hit it one more time, you guys. I'm trying to finish this up. Hold on. I am your neighbor. Just letting you know who we are.
Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. With Wimmer and Leprechaun. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. Late night L.O.A.D. With Wimmer and Leprechaun.
Awesome. How's it going, guys? Web C in the house, and I don't know if any of my cohorts are going to be joining me today. Let's give them a quick reach out and see what they say. These guys are always awesome. I know for sure Leprechaun won't be in tonight. He already spoke with me, but let's make sure Carrie Michael Howell is on his way, and let's make sure our friend Andrew Cosgrove is on his way. Let's make sure those two guys are getting in the room. All right, so I'm back over here. All right, my name's Web C, and Kip Ash Gundam. Here's a QR code for you guys in the beginning. If you guys are interested in robot models of any kind, head over to Kip Ash Gundam. We specialize in making custom robots. The whole team. We're growing 3,400 strong, and we're still growing, one member at a time. All right, and here is a picture of that green comet that keeps passing by. This picture is brought to you by Newsweek. Thank you, Newsweek. Let's go ahead and give them a ticker, huh? Let's just put that up there. And let's see. GIEEN Green comet passes every. Oh no, I spelled it wrong. EVER passes every 50K YEARS every 50,000 years. Photo by. Let's go ahead and put a space. All right. So while everybody's getting in and stuff, we'll let people see that for a moment. Just a little bit, a little while. Thank you guys. And yeah, we're just hanging out, having a good time. I am your host with the most, talking to the toast. Tonight we will have some recaps and talk about some things. Along with that, we will also talk about just random stuff. We're gonna scroll through the interwebs and see what we can find. We'll give credit as credit's due, and then we'll pay our homage to the video gods and watch everything we can. All right. Anyways, so yeah, I really dig this picture though. It's just so stunning, and I can't zoom in or anything right now, but I just want you to know, like, on my screen, it's really stunning. I hope it's stunning on your screen too. If you haven't seen the Green Comet, go look it up. Go check it out. Go see the footage. Yeah. So tonight we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So we have a good 4-case roundabout session. It seems like my cohorts are not in the mood to talk about crazy stuff tonight. So that's okay. I'll pick on them later. Well, so here we go. And yep. So, like I said, for sure, Leprechaun will be on Thursday, and I am waiting to hear from the rest of the team tonight. And yeah, so last week and the week before, we were touching bases a little bit on portals, black holes, anti-aging serums, and greatly enlarged hominids. We're kind of curious about that one. The hominids now, even one of the other channels who does things, they were trying to report on the large hominids as well, and they they pretty much they got the same results as we did. A stone wall, like, no, you cannot have. So, I'm thinking about drawing up some original imagery and seeing if it works this time. I'll take photos of original imagery and I'll share them. And because it'll be my imagery, perhaps they'll allow it. We'll see. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to try next. And hopefully they don't try and tell me my artwork is somebody else's artwork, because I give artwork credit to who it belongs to. Me as an artist personally, I want you to know, if I use your photo or if I get a photo from another site, I'm going to cite the site down here on the ticker scroll while we're looking at the photo, where it comes from, what it's about, what we're talking about. So this first thing, this comet, I wanted to look up on my phone while we're doing this comets, uses of comet. Who used comets? That's what we want to look at, right? I guess I'm asking the interwebs, who used comets for... All right. Here is a... No, we don't care about this. So this is from NASA. This is a page I'm reading directly from NASA. The document is titled "Humans Have Feared Comets, Other Celestial Phenomena Through the Ages." The sky isn't falling as Comet Hale-Bopp continues to grow increasingly prominent in the sky. Humans around the world will be peering at it with fear, awe, curiosity, superstition, and suspicion. That's nothing new. Throughout recorded history, people have looked at the heavens and celestial phenomena such as comets, meteor showers, the northern lights, novas, and even eclipses have provoked visceral responses, ranging from reverence to hysteria. Comets, in particular, have held an extended and generally terrifying fascination for people. According to researchers at the University of Washington, comets have a long history, usually as omens and bearers of bad news, says Woody Sullivan, professor of astronomy. But on the other hand, the death of Julius Caesar was marked by a comet, and this was taken by the Romans as a sign of his divinity. And Napoleon made a fuss about the appearances of comets in some of his early military victories. Awful might be a better way to describe the impact of comets. It is often taken to mean dread, but it also can indicate greatness. Caesar and Napoleon aside, comets generally have been regarded unwelcome visitors over the years. Pope Calixtus III excommunicated Halley's Comet in 1456 as an instrument of the devil, and in the following century, the appearances of comets were seen by Inca and Aztec astrologers as signs of divine wrath, leading to the downfall of those empires to Spain. In 1835 to 36, return of Halley's Comet, or Halley's Comet, was said to have caused a large fire in New York, a Zulu massacre of Boers in South Africa, and the Mexican slaughter of Texans at the Alamo in 1910. Charlatans sold comet pills and comet insurance, and a number of fearful Americans tried to board up their houses as protection against poisonous cyanide gas as the Earth passed through the tail of Halley's Comet. Lurid and fanciful descriptions of comets stretched the imagination. Ambrose Paré, a French physician, described the comet of 1528 as follows. This comet was so horrible, so frightful, and it produced such great terror that some died of fear and others fell sick. It appeared to be of extreme length and was the color of blood. This dark shadow over comets persists in strange ways to the present. The very appearance of these cosmic ice balls is given a ghostly presence by being called an apparition by science. With this kind of historical record, it's no wonder that the approach of Hale-Bopp has been heralded by a rush of claims that the comet is accompanied by a dark companion, is shadowed by a large spaceship 4 times the size of Earth, and is being controlled by extraterrestrial intelligence. Why do celestial phenomena, particularly comets, provoke such extreme reactions? Whenever a major event occurs in the environment that is unusual, it is frightening because it's not natural and because we have no explanation for it and can't control it, explains Robert Kohlenberg, an associate professor of psychology who studies how people learn. All right, so we got a little bit more reading to do, but so far we've discovered that, bad juju, bad medicine. That's a lot of what we get when we see stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. All right. Explanations of phenomena such as comets are ultimately appealing because they offer control and the possibility of protecting ourselves against possible harm. This is the very reason and accounts for why we have science, and also why some people come up with less than conventional ideas to explain phenomena. Everything is always answered in terms of what motivates us in this case. The motivation is protection. If something is unknown, there is no conceivable way of dealing with it, he adds. At the same time, Kohlenberg acknowledges that alternative or less conventional ideas, such as rocket ship guiding comets, can be appealing because they do offer an explanation. Assuming that there are no frauds and charlatans involved, many people who come up with offbeat ideas are sincere in their explanations, which give them a better sense of control than the scientific reasons. Ideas of this type that persist are useful. If they are not, these benefits die, or these beliefs die. We have a strong belief in science in our culture. So these offbeat ideas stand out. They might not in other cultures, where science is not as well accepted. Sullivan agrees. Nothing that the 20th century has been called the psychiatric century, and that there are UFO believers who will latch onto anything to support their beliefs. This, he notes, is a product of the space age, the Cold War, and the modern-day belief in government cover-ups. All right, so we're going to address that comment right now. This dude, Sullivan, obviously hasn't been paying attention to modern stuff, but as of today, currently, it's been 3 years since disclosure has happened, since the American government has come forward and said that this is what's happened. This is disclosure. This is a thing. This is real. Okay. So, excuse me. All right. But there's been a long human tradition of outstanding forces, influencers, events. Okay. All ancient cultures with historical records, Western and Eastern, looked at any new apparition in the sky, such as the comet, with apprehension. The average person in ancient times knew the heavens much better than we do today, and something changing day to day in the sky was alarming to them. But like Napoleon, not everyone dreaded comets. Back in the 17th century, Europeans believed that comets affected weather and helped produce superior wines. Comets were believed to cause warmer temperatures and thus higher sugar concentrations in wine grapes. 1997 already promises to be a vintage year for comet watching. Only time will tell if it will be the same for Chardonnay. So this is a really old like writing. This is about Hellbop, right? So this is just like a great talking point, like because there's so many things we can talk about in here that like we've have now more information, we can divulge more, but this gives us a good idea before science is caught up to where we are today. This gives us a good idea of what science in the past and society in the past has said about comets. That's what we're kind of talking about right now. We're just talking about comets, probably wrapping that up. So that's what this story does. That wraps that up. More of a hey, it was pretty cool to learn that. But to see that at certain points in time, everybody stuck with that idea that it was a bad thing. Comets are bad; they're coming to get us, type of thing. So I really like that. At some point, it got flipped around, and people thought it was a sign of good luck and good wealth because it would yield better crops. So that's what I think is really cool. We can move on to our next subject, but I'm gonna load up the camera first. Hold on, and that takes a moment. It's already connected. For some reason, it doesn't work perfectly. Woohoo! There we go. All right. Take those captions down. That down. There we go. Hey, everybody! You can see me and you can see my stuff. Hold on. We're gonna do that. The viewing globe. All right. So that's what we're gonna see. That's what you're gonna see. That's what we all see. All right. Here we go. I was going through some stuff, so I think we're just gonna go through my history real quick. Oh wait, what's this? Live. Oh hey, look at that. Me live. Black holes aren't black or even holes. What are they? That was 16 hours ago. Oh, Human Bigfoot War of 1855. Yeah, maybe we'll get into that on another date. So yeah, we're gonna go and let's look at. We're not gonna talk about those. I was annoying my kids tonight with some bad noises and sounds, so we're gonna try and get past some of those. So some shorts. No, oh, I was checking out this new singer. She's probably like 19 now. She was 13. No, she'll be 17 or 18 now. She was on one of those American Got Talent shows or whatever, and she sang like Janis Joplin, and that's what made me like look her up to see what she really sounded like, what like other things or whatever. So, anyways, I looked her up. Yeah, that girl can blow pipes like Janis Joplin. Still trying to figure out how to connect the Oculus to the PlayStation 4. Let's see. Do we want to listen to? Okay, so that's where we were. All right, yeah. This is what I watched today.
I'm begging you to stop playing traditional tower defense. Try out this game instead. The new version does not.
Okay, let's go ahead and throw that ticker up before we get into this. So, 1945 encounter. 1945. All right, let's see. Let's get that up there. Here we go.
So history has recorded the first big UFO sighting in the United States is 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico. Very famously, right outside Roswell. But actually, there was, in some sense, a bigger and more significant event sighting 2 years before, also in New Mexico, at exactly the moment the U.S. government was detonating the first atomic weapon, shortly thereafter used in Japan. And witnesses on the ground saw some kind of object shaped like an avocado, they said, crash land. It was inspected by a lot of locals. There were beings inside, they said, and away by the U.S. government. Now, people don't want to be called crazy, so no one said too much about it for quite some years. But people within the U.S. government believe it's true, and they believe it so strongly that now, as of this week, the Defense Department's annual spending bill will require, as per Congress, the Pentagon to go back and investigate what really happened. Nick Pope is a former UK Ministry of Defense official who's followed the subject very closely. He joins us to assess. Nick, thanks so much for coming on. So this is a story that most, I think, Americans are not even aware of, but clearly people within the U.S. government believe it's real, or they wouldn't have attached this to a spending bill, correct?
Correct, yes. This is being called the Roswell before Roswell. And you're right, people with some knowledge of these intelligence programs who've been briefing Congress about this made sure that this was put into the legislation. And it's one of many UFO provisions in the new defense bill. The DOD must provide Congress with a list of everything they've found out about this specific incident, but all other incidents and programs from January 1st, 1945 onwards. And anyone involved in these programs or with information about it will be released from their...
So the video right now, what we're watching is I'm just zoomed in because I don't want to get in trouble, but what we're zoomed in on is the video clip that was released of the confirmation a few years ago back in 2020, and so here we are in 2023. So it's been almost 3 years. This was actually, it's been 3 years and 5 days or something since this was released. Now, I had a heads up. I was told ahead of time when this was getting released, but I wasn't told what it was or who was or where it was coming from. All I was told when it was released was I was told that there was they called it an unmasking or an unveiling event, basically where they meant like it was going to open up to the public, like they were going to show the public an unmasking type of thing. So
secrecy oaths and non-disclosure agreements, and they'll be able to testify to Congress about this.
So here we have the nuclear connection again. This was around the first detonation in human history of a nuclear device. Subsequent to that, you've had UFO sightings at nuclear missile bases, around nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, nuclear-powered submarines. There's clearly some nuclear. I mean, I don't pretend to understand, but nuclear has some connection to these sightings. No.
That seems to be the case. And again, Congress is demanding answers on this. We had the latest report from the Office of the Director.
I just want to be clear. I don't know. I haven't witnessed a larger groupings near or far or close or anything of the matter, because we can go out to remote, desolate areas where there is nothing like that, and we can easily see them come in. When there's no light pollution from a city, you can actually see a lot more than what we can see in the cities. So when I go traveling to go UFO spotting, I don't go into the middle of downtown, biggest city in my state. I go to the furthest away point where there's no lights, where there's the only thing that's going to make a light is me, so that I can look up into the sky and see what's there. Now, some people be like, well, it's not safe. There's wild animals about. Yeah, it's possible.
National Intelligence last week, that highlighted the fact that there were several hundred more sightings being investigated, military sightings, than we'd heard of before. Talked about unusual flight characteristics and performance parameters of this. And yeah, we must get to the bottom of this UFO and nuclear connection.
Yeah, I I mean, I would think it feels like we're getting closer. I hope. Nick Pope, thank you for your work on this.
All right, that was Tucker Carlson and
Thank you.
Nick Pope.
Subscribe to
We're done with that video. I mean, that was a good one to see, right? And then, yeah, like I said, I was annoying my kids and stuff earlier, so let's see shorts that I passed by that were a bit sketchy. We're getting a whole bunch of this stuff right now. But, okay, there was some stuff that was like just crazy. A lot of this stuff I scroll way past way fast. All right. So we were also portals. Oh, this guy. This kid, no. 8 days ago. Do I dare on Cosmos Lab? All right, let's do a random stop. Let's see. Sling and Stone has a short video, so let's watch Sling and Stone's video.
You can save hundreds a year on groceries.
We're gonna give it a real quick title here. Like once again, I always like to put these up here so I don't get misnomered. Okay, let's see. Sure. All right. Stone on YouTube. We'll just say that for now. Add. Shikabow. Here is the new one. Let's go ahead and get it going. All right, we got some ads to get through.
It's not a sale.
No big deal. That's kind of what we got going on here.
From upstate New York to Northern California. It's more than 4,500 kilometers as the crow flies, but that is the mystery officials are trying to solve after a missing Toronto firefighter turned up in Sacramento 6 days after disappearing while skiing near Lake Placid.
That's the strange case of Danny Philippitis, the firefighter who was skiing in upstate New York, goes missing, and then 6 days later is found in
We've covered this story before a couple weeks ago, or at least a week and a half ago.
Sacramento, California, still wearing his snow gear. I'll get more into his story towards the end of the video, but first to break down how this could happen, similar stories, and tying it together with missing people in national parks, and the theory that it's linked to portals. Now, whether these portals are created in the supernatural realm or in the scientific realm, that's what we'll look at first. First, in the supernatural realm, I want to bring up 2 Bible passages, and these talk about somebody being taken from the earth and as well as an opening to a realm that we currently don't see. So in 2 Corinthians 12:2, Paul says, I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago was caught up to the third heaven, whether it was in the body or out of the body, I don't know, but God knows. And in Revelation chapter 9, we have the angel in the last days comes from heaven with a key to the bottomless pit, opens this pit, and then great smoke comes out of it, as well as entities that were trapped inside of it. So there are 2 supernatural cases. I'll get into a few more at the end, but there's actually plenty of testimonies of people encountering these.
These are pretty cool graphics they're showing us.
Really, in the middle of nowhere, these phenomena where they come across a blob, or they see this like clear type of figure, something coming in the wood.
Yeah. Okay. So. It's been long said and long thought that certain types of cryptids are very adept at using portal technology, portal theory, portal kinesis. They say some of them have it naturally built in, some of them are using a tool, some of them have, this, that, or the other. I don't know. Haven't seen it. I would love to see how that worked, if it was tools or not. So I just wanted to stop and talk about that, and then, just that graphic is so nice. Like, look at that. That's a nice. I like that little bubble ball graphic.
People
So
sticking
cool.
their hands in and their feet in. It goes in and disappears and comes out. And there's cases of people who have testified to this and are still around. Of course, we know the scientific realm in many aspects is trying to open portals in many different areas of science. Here's an article from 2019, scientists attempting to open portals to a parallel universe. Here they're talking about watching protons, trapping them in different ways and putting them through mirrors, and how it actually changes the time difference on these things. I tried to look up any type of current breakthroughs from that study, and of course the only up-to-date article on it is a fact-checking article saying Tennessee lab isn't trying to open parallel universe portal, even though when you type that in and you look at all the 2019 articles, they all talk about that in detail. So this just makes me wonder, what did they actually find? Because it seems as if they're maybe trying to hide something here. And again, we have to always remember the base level news that we're getting on just like, the front page of Google when you search something is nothing in comparison to what is going on in black budget sites or governments around the world and secret testing facilities and all that stuff. They're so far ahead. It's why even, the best airplanes that we're using in war and military are things from like 20 years ago. Now, of course, another arm of the scientific realm trying to get portals and dimensions and things open is CERN. And even on their own website, they have a section titled Extra Dimensions, Gravitons, and Tiny Black Holes. Of course, many people theorize and believe in the theory that black holes is that when you get in them and around them, time changes. So this whole thing, or if you're...
Yeah, go ahead. Put that down there in the comments for anybody watching. What do you think happens? Does time change? Does time stop? Does time accelerate? Which one do you think happens? Stop. Put it in the comments. Let me see what you say. Even if you're watching the pre-recorded version and you're not live with us right now, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'll be able to scroll back and see it. And I'd love to comment back for you guys. All right. Yeah. Let's keep going. Keep moving.
Sucked into it, they believe it could be an opening to whatever, a wormhole or that. If you believe in it, that whole aspect of it, this is definitely a scientific device, a scientific experiment where they're trying to play around with these ideas of opening portals, creating black holes, creating wormholes, really doing anything to pretty much tear the veil from this realm into the next realm. And they even say on their website, if micro black holes do appear, they would just disintegrate rapidly. But finding more of any of these subjects would be an open door to yet even more unknown possibilities. And this whole talk of portals and the possibility of this being tied to the missing people in national parks just makes me think back to the very strange event of the Norway Spiral in 2009. I'll put it up on the screen. Of course, they attributed this to a missile launch failure, or, the missile went up into the sky and then did its spinning explosion thing, and that's what this is. But this is nothing in comparison when you see this thing in comparison to the many instances that we now have of seeing rockets going up into the sky and doing their whole thing. I'll put up now on screen a video of a SpaceX rocket going up into the sky. Nothing with the symmetry, nothing with this blue thing from ground to air. I mean, it's just nothing in comparison to the Norway Spiral. That happened, of course, in Norway in 2009 on December 9th. And there was even a spiral that occurred in the sky in New Zealand on June.
Did any of you guys get any of those videos back then when all that happened? So it happened again, and this time, like when it happened more recently, I think it was 2017 or something, or 2018, happened more recently, and SpaceX took the blame for it and said it was one of their rockets, and it was what their launches look like at nighttime with the certain light reflecting. So I don't know.
2022.
That's
Pretty
what I heard.
similar
What'd you hear?
site. Definitely looks nothing like, again, these SpaceX rockets or whatever going up into space. Who knows with all the scientific stuff going on that they're really trying to do, or again, maybe the spiritually wicked realm breaking through again in into our realm, figuring that out as we head towards the days where we know fearful sights will come upon the earth and men's hearts will fail them for those things coming upon the earth.
If you're just starting to play this game, do not hatch the dragon egg at the start. You don't have much resources at the start. Hatching the egg will cost you most of your economy. Your own troop levels won't be able to catch you.
Yeah,
Now,
we're not
two
playing that
more
game.
instances of a
I'm just shaking up my
supernatural
lacquers,
protection
getting them ready
couple
for
from the
tomorrow.
Bible would be the
Get 'em
instance
loose.
of Elijah was
It's better to
taken
get
up
them
to
loose and
heaven.
let
This
them
is
air
in
again
2
and then
Kings
shake them
chapter 2,
twice,
verse
I
11.
guess.
As
That's what
they
you call
were
it. But
walking along,
these
talking
lacquers are real
together, suddenly
finicky,
a
so the
chariot
better
of
you
fire
blend them,
and
the
a
better
horses
you
of
be.
fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. So we have this instance, and we also have the instance of Enoch being taken up into heaven as well. And
All
that
right,
verse
see.
in Genesis 5:24 reads, "And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him." So here's 2 instances, of course, God taking people up to heaven, as well as the first reference in Paul's writing. Of course, we know God is way more powerful than the evil realm, but we know Satan tries to copy everything God does. Even in the last days, the Antichrist will do miracles just like Jesus did. Jesus is the Christ. Then we have the Antichrist. We have the Holy Trinity of God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Then we have the dragon, the Antichrist, the false prophet. I mean, Satan truly tries to copy God in everything he does. And as we move closer to the end times, it seems as if maybe the evil realm, the spiritual wickedness, is figuring out how to break through the veil that it's separated in currently. And with these missing people cases, that there's a large majority of them that are it's just too strange to be explained away in any other way than supernatural. And of course, after everything that Jesus has done in my life and proving himself to be true to me in so many ways, I just have to look at the rest of the world through the biblical lens of what I know to be true. And so trying to discern these supernatural disappearances through the lens of the Bible leads me to look for these connections.
So that's I want to be clear. That's his personal opinion. I don't know. I don't have an opinion that way, one way or the other about that. I know some of us might in the group. Some of us might feel some way or the other. I personally believe the Bible to be a codex of how to live within a certain region of the world. And that codex kind of falls apart when you start moving around the world. Some animals aren't as edible if you grow and harvest and slaughter and butcher them in certain places, and they taste better in other places. And that's kind of part of what's in the Bible. Another part of what's in the Bible is it teaches you your morality and it gives you answers when you feel lost. And all those things. But when it pertains to the supernatural, spiritual, alien, UFO, anything, I more so feel like the Bible is a very good recollection of history and only trying to introduce us to the idea of these things happen. This is how we explain them in our time. And in modern times, if we were to replace the, words with certain other words, they would fit too well. And that's where I'm at with it. So I feel like, yes, some religious books, they're very good documentations on how to live your life. But they're not the only answer. They're not the only way. We got other ways. Atheism, obviously. But there's no religion. But they don't have any history book section in theirs. So that's all I know.
Let me know what you think in the comments, and if there's any other biblical stories that could in one way relate to just disappearances or portals or something along these lines. I'll end the video with some more clips from the firefighter Danny.
All right. So he's just going to go back to showing some clips from the firefighter video. I think we don't need to talk about that guy anymore. But so portals, right? That's what we're talking about. So we're just searching up portals. Okay, now we're going to talk about, they say these people found portals. So let's go ahead and...
Starting off this countdown,
all right. Right. Boom.
The wrong turn. So this is a real story reported by 4 university students. Their names were never disclosed to protect their identity. But apparently in May of 1972, they were on their way back from a Utah rodeo and headed to their dorm. On their way back, they decided to take a shortcut. That was their first mistake. While traveling along this unknown road, the path suddenly turned into gravel, and then all of a sudden they hit a dead end. So they had to travel all the way back down the road that they just came. However, while doing so, they noticed that the path had changed. It didn't look like the same original path that they originally took. All of a sudden, they saw something glowing in the distance. They drove towards it and found themselves at a weird building with a neon sign. The neon sign was in a language that none of them recognized. When they pulled towards the building for help, these weird, tall men came out towards them. They seemed confused and angry. One got close to the car and one of the girls screamed. The tall man didn't appear to be human, so they sped out of there. While driving away, they saw weird egg-shaped vehicles following them. They sped until the vehicles stopped following them. Finally, they somehow reached the road that they were originally on. To this day, they believe that they somehow traveled to another universe through that road. Isn't that creepy? Hit that thumbs up button if you agree. In our 9th spot, we have the lift ride at the disappearing store. Just recently, Reddit user NoBookkeeper3991 decided to take a lift to go to the dollar store. It wasn't too far from his place, and it wasn't complicated to get to. A couple minutes go by, and he should have reached the store by now, but they couldn't find it. The store just randomly wasn't there anymore. In fact, the whole street looked different. Both the dude and the Lyft driver started to panic. Everything changed in front of them in a flash. It was super.
Now, I don't know about this. That's one of those things where it's like, I need proof. I'm going to be the naysayer on this part, on this specific claim, because I'm going to be like, I need proof. Because one, I've never gone anywhere, had deja vu, and then looked up, and everything was different than the way I thought it was. Usually, if something's different like that, that's because you never noticed it was different in the first place, and this is the first time you're noticing it. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna be the naysayer on this one. But let's keep going.
The guy didn't end up going to the dollar store that day. Apparently, they rode into a parallel universe or something. And of course, days later, the missing dollar store magically reappeared again. Moving on at number 8, we have the disappearing professor. A well-known faculty member at the University of the Andes disappeared on campus without a trace. According to multiple witnesses, they saw the professor leave one of the university's buildings, cross the parking lot, and get into his car. Many people saw this happen. In fact, people were calling at him and waving to him as he got into his car. But his car sat there unmoving for a while. A couple of students actually approached the car to see what was going on and found the car empty. The professor was nowhere to be found. To this day, the professor has never returned. It's assumed that when he got into his car, he was transported to a different universe. Moving on at number 7, we have the Green Children of Woolpit. Back in the 13th century, 2 weird children randomly appeared in the village of Woolpit in England. The 2 were brother and sister and had weird greenish-colored skin. To make things weirder, they spoke a language no one heard of, and they were dressed in weird clothing. They also didn't want to eat anything except raw beans. Eventually, they were taken in, but sadly, the boy became sick and passed away. The girl, on the other hand, started to like normal food and started to lose the green color in her skin. After learning to speak English, she said that her and her brother were from a place where people had green skin, and the sun didn't shine bright.
That's kind of crazy. So their diet had caused them to turn their skin a certain color. That's happened with other foods and fruits and vegetables, like carrots and tomatoes can do that to you. And so can there's a purple vegetable that can do it to you too. So they're saying that these people were eating peas, like green peas and stuff. So that's like a whole bunch of vitamin A.
All of a sudden, they heard a loud noise. Bam! They were in a new place. Now the girl ended up growing up and marrying a man and starting a whole new life there. But it seems like the 2 traveled there from another dimension. dimension. Coming in at number 6, we have the campsite. A couple of years ago, a woman and her friends were out camping when they heard music coming from the forest. They followed the sound, thinking that they were alone, and came across a small stone cabin. The weirdest part? When they approached the cabin, they saw people dressed in 17th century fashion. One of the friends was fascinated.
Oh, you gotta love them commercials.
And went over to the cabin to try and go inside. As she was about to enter, one of her friends pulled her away. As that happened, half of her body became paralyzed. The half that entered the cabin. It's believed that she partially entered another dimension, and that threw off her nervous system, which resulted in half of her body becoming paralyzed. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the deaths. This story is pretty intense, so buckle your seatbelts. But basically, one night this woman had a dream about someone she knew dying. 3 days later, that dream came true and the person passed away. This has happened to her a number of times. She falls asleep, has a dream that someone dies, and in exactly 3 days, that dream comes true and that person passes away.
All right, so I'm just going to be honest. I know somebody, when they have the dream of death, it's not just like, it wasn't a couple days. Like, when this person I know would have that dream, it would be, she would wake up out of the middle of her sleep and call that person and say goodbye to them and say they love them and that they had the dream. And then you get a call the next day from family members saying that that person passed away. It was really weird, man. It was. I witnessed it firsthand 5 times in a row. Same person, different people they talked to and everything. So this one, once again, tit for tat. There's ones I do believe in and don't believe in.
That sounds like a horror movie plot, like if you agree. Anyways, this has happened to 2 of her colleagues, 3 of her grandparents, her great-grandfather, her friend's grandfather, 2 school teachers, 3 of her friends, and a random lady she met for 5 minutes one day at work.
It's not just a one-time fluke. When a person has that type of clairvoyance, they experience it quite a bit.
Actually hopping from different universes.
So
In one
anybody
universe,
chatting
the
with us?
person has already passed away.
Chat with me.
When
Come
she
on.
jumps back to her current universe, the person
Yeah,
is
poke
dead,
nosy
and that's what
bastards.
triggers these dreams. They're just memories from other universes that she has traveled to. In our 4th spot,
I've heard
we
of
have
that.
a different family home. Back in the day, a woman named Carol Chase McElhenney decided to visit her old family town and area. But when she was driving down her old street, she couldn't find the old house that she grew up in. In fact, all the houses on the street looked completely different. She then decided to drive to the street where her grandmother used to live on. When she got there, she found that the street was completely different as well. She then was driving through the town, noticing that almost everything was changed. Like the cemetery where her parents were buried wasn't there anymore. Or a strip of restaurants and hotels was now just a graffiti-covered area. She started feeling very uncomfortable and drove off. A few years later, Carol's father died, and they went back to the cemetery to bury him with his parents. Surprisingly, the cemetery magically reappeared, and everything about the town was back to normal. So she believes that during her other trip, she managed to visit her old town from a different dimension. In our 3rd spot, we have the birth certificate. Just recently, Reddit user Professional Echo 348 went to get a new birth certificate. They were at town hall when they saw that their mother's middle name was not right. It was written as Victoria, but her real middle name was Virginia. So she asked the clerk what was up with it. Even her last birth certificate had her mom's middle name as Virginia. Sadly, her mom passed away 17 years ago, so she couldn't just phone up her mom and ask her what was up. Plus, she even named her daughter's middle name after her mom's middle name. So she decided to dig into this some more. She was going through old photos and she saw that her mother was once married to a man named Pierce, which again was wrong. His name was actually Pierre, not Pierce. So sometime in her life, she switched universes. One where her mother's middle name was Victoria, and her stepfather's name was Pierce. Coming in at number 2, we have the different girlfriend. One day, a guy woke up only to find that he had been sleeping next to some random girl. He freaked out, and the girl, whose name was Laura, was all like, WTF, we've been dating for a couple of years now. How don't you remember? Stop fooling around. This is funny. Sure enough, his apartment was filled with framed photos of them together. What's weird is that wasn't his girlfriend. He was dating a girl named Maria, not Laura. So apparently, he went to bed with Maria and woke up beside a new girlfriend, Laura. So somehow he managed to switch universes in his sleep. That is insane. And does that count as cheating? Let me know in the comments below. And in our number one spot, we have Lorena Garcia. Lorena Garcia lived a pretty mundane life until one day, everything changed forever. Her life literally got flipped upside down. So she woke up one day and noticed her bed sheets were different than normal. She kind of just ignored it and went on with her day. As she made her way to work, she noticed little things were off. Again, she ignored it as she arrived at work. But when she got to her department, she realized it wasn't her department. She thought that she was on the wrong floor, but she wasn't. She had worked there for the last 20 years. But today, she worked in a different department. She even looked herself up on her work's database. She worked at the same company, but it said she worked at a different department. Then things continued to get weird. Her former boyfriend disappeared without a trace. There was no sign of him anywhere. There was not even a sign that the two had even dated. In fact, she hired someone to see what happened to him.
This is the difference between me and skilled players. Me, I'd win if I could hatch the dragon egg first.
That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
He never existed. At least not in this universe. Her current boyfriend was someone completely different. So somehow, when Lorena went to bed, she managed to travel to another universe. Isn't that crazy? Like, imagine waking up and having a completely new job and partner. I would freak out. And probably go insane.
All right, coming in at number 10, we have the simulation hypothesis / the matrix theory. It seems that our mate Elon Musk believes that we could be living in a simulated universe. Of course he does. He said that there is a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance that we are living in a base reality. 1,000,000,000 to 1. Really? Now the theory seems to suggest that actually we're living in a computer simulation just like in the Matrix. Word on the street at the New Yorker is that actually right now there are 2 tech billionaires secretly engaging scientists to work on breaking us out of the simulation as we speak. So, who is running this simulation?
A new professor just came out and said that the theory is wrong. We do not live in a simulation. So, if you any of the ones where you're reading where it's there's a theory about us living in a simulation, that's officially wrong now. There's a scientist who has come out with a dispute, and the dispute is being reviewed, but it has a promising review. So that's what I know about that.
Apparently it is a post-modern. I do believe in this. We have deja vu. What is deja vu? Is it a glitch in the Matrix like Morpheus claimed, or is it a lived moment from our parallel lives, or is it some other kind of brain phenomenon that we just don't know too much about yet? According to Dr. Micheal Wimmer, an American futurist, deja vu occurs as a result of a person's ability to flip between universes. Others believe it's because we're vibrating in unison.
I'm going to dive real deep into this, so bear with me. All right. One of the things that I know about deja vu is it does tie into the parallel worlds, parallel universe, in a sense that deja vu is setting you up to choose which universe. It's like a signal saying portal open. I don't know how else to make that sound simpler. So when you have deja vu, you can react, right? You can react and you can say, oh, I've seen this before. I've been here before. Something strange is going to happen, or something bad is going to happen, or, something's going to happen. An event is coming. You can alter those. You can change them. You can, this is a moment. This is them saying, this is like the moment, when you notice, or you might not notice, or you might notice what it is that it actually is, the moment, the trigger, the happening, the thing. But when you do, so here's the way it happens, is some time ago you had a dream about something. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's just say you had a dream. You stopped at a store with your parents one of your parents went in and you had a conversation with the other parent that stayed in the car with you, and then you drove to your destination where it was like a barbecue or something. Say that's the triggered of events that transpired. Now, on your way to that first store before the barbecue, before you have the conversation, before your parent gets out, on the way to that store, if you said something to keep the opposite parent in and sent the other parent out, that would be like what deja vu would kick in and make it be like, there's your change. Okay, like that's what deja vu is. So in the long run, what you're seeing the portal is giving you the heads up, like, hey man, there's going to be a fork in the road's coming. And that's what I'm thinking is, and then you live out and live through the one you choose. And that dates back to the whole thing. We have freedom, we have free choice, not granted to us by any outside entity, but like the whole concept of our free choice creates a multiverse. Everybody's free choice creates a multiverse. There's a multiverse where Tom Hanks doesn't take weird photos. There's a multiverse where Brad Pitt ages. There's a multiverse where Angelina Jolie adopted a bunch of white babies instead of, and then there's a multiverse where I'm skinny instead of 350 pounds. So, there's that, right? So if we think about all those things, but the way we get to that, where there's a multiverse, is deja vu is one of those signs that just pops up and says, hey, you get to choose. And then you have to live with whatever it is you're choosing through that. So I'm sorry if I deviated a whole bunch for that, but that's like one of those, I don't know. I feel really strongly about that. I feel strongly about deja vu, and I feel strongly about which direction deja vu pulls you into the parallel universes, that whole scenario, because honestly, they don't stay parallel in a sense. I don't know if you understand that, because once you make your choice, the other universe isn't parallel with you with the two dudes that made the same choice. No, it's parallel with you, another dude that made an opposite choice. So there's me that said, I want my mom to go in and grab me a bag of chips. Mom, will you give me a bag of chips? Oh, your dad was going to go in. Okay, well, dad's not going to give me a bag of chips. Well, fine, I'll go get you a bag of chips. Argument over. Mom goes in. Then me and dad would end up having the conversation, right? Or the opposite, And then the other universe, it would be, I didn't say anything or ask for anything, and dad still goes in. You know what I mean? And then those are the splits. Those are the differences, the things that happen different, right? And those could lead to different outcomes and stuff like that. Dad gets irritated because mom takes too long in the store, and then they have a fight at the party. Or there's mom gets agitated because dad took too long at the store, and she's got to use the bathroom, and blah blah blah. And now they're late to the party, and blah blah blah. So all those things could happen. So that's just what I wanted to add all that to there, because that's a big one.
The frequency of another universe that's parallel with our own. Mind melt. I actually really enjoy Dr. Kaku's Twitter. He posts thought-provoking science riddles, plus his profile picture is golden. Coming in at number 8, we have the Large Hadron Collider is a time machine. Like, is it? The Large Hadron Collider is a 17-mile-long super machine that smashes particles together at nearing light speed.
Once again, I think if anything is it helps produce storms, but other than that, I would say travel lightly. I think the Large Hadron Collider could be just like a deja vu device. It could help people with that. I don't know.
The machine is based in Switzerland, and there has been a lot of suspicion and speculation about it. A lot of people
think it's a portal device.
Create microscopic black holes. Others say it makes time travel possible. There is an absolutely wild theory out there that an experiment at the Large Hadron Collider caused an overworld Airbus A330-300 to land 5,500 miles away from its intended location, and it caused a power outage across South America. An article on the website Freedom Fighter Times claimed the power released from the LHC was so strong that it sent a time warp across the planet. Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm here for that. Also, lol at the title of their publication. But others do suggest that the LHC can create conditions that allow matter and radiation to travel backwards and forwards in time. A lot of credible science articles have written of the possibility of creating a wormhole. Now, this invites all kinds of drama via the grandfather paradox. If you travel back in time and kill...
All right, we're not even going to worry about the time traveling stuff. All right. So if you take something and you spin it up, you ramp it up to near light speed, and you go, right? And then you take something else and you put it going the opposite direction, right? And they're both going the opposite direction, right? So now you got them going the opposite direction of each other. And then you align them so that they're both spinning on that same platform, right? But now they're not perfectly aligned. So when they go around, eventually the magnets will pull them to where they hit each other. Now, if you got something going almost the speed of light and something else going almost the speed of light, when they collide, that collision is almost twice the speed of light. So it's legit. They are sending particles that come out of it are actually speeding out faster than the speed of light. Because if we take a car going 30 miles an hour and a car going 70 miles an hour, the impact is 100 miles an hour. That's how just how impact works. Doesn't matter. I believe it works the same if you get all the way down to a tiny, tiny, little particle. So that's what's really happening. They're just crashing shit into shit and seeing what happens, what bounces out. It's like creating a little firework and watching the flares, the flashing come out.
Your grandfather, does that mean that in the
Grandfather
future,
paradox
it
is
exists,
smut.
or does
There's
it
the
create a
parallel universe thing.
of alternative outcomes? Coming into number 7,
No,
we have
so grandfather paradox is canceled by the parallel paradox, which says that if you go back in time and you alter time, you don't alter your time, you alter a parallel timeline. And that's what happens in Back to the Future. Marty goes back, they alter time a little bit, and then he goes back into the future, and then his future's fucking weird, right? So if he went back in time, fixed everything that got messed up, goes back in time, forward in time again, he could make it to his time again. So that's where the grandfather paradox is kind of like moot point, because it doesn't matter, because we have the Marty McFly paradox, which supersedes the grandfather paradox, saying that if you go back in time and do make a change, you are not changing your original timeline. You are creating a new parallel timeline. Boom! Parallel universes. That's, once again, another way to open that parallel universe doorway.
is at the end of a black hole. Recently, we got our first ever picture of a black hole. Our knowledge on black holes is still a little sketchy. We only have what we've observed, and
Some people are going to hate me for saying this.
Pretty damn far away.
We don't know
black holes are
squat.
very dense, and that they exhibit such strong gravitational pulls on all things that nothing can escape their draws, not even the fastest moving particles we know, light. What happens to the particles once they're drawn inside the black hole? Well, we don't actually know. One theory is that the black hole is a portal to a different part of space. It's a parallel universe, if you will. Now, towards the end of his life, the late great Stephen Hawking was actually working on a theory of multiverses that included black holes. He alluded to the possibility of a black hole spilling its matter out into a separate place in space-time, a new universe, maybe. He said the hole would need to be large, and if it was rotating, it might be a passage to another universe. He did say, though, if we traveled through, we probably couldn't come back to our own, so I'm not sure if I'd want to go. Coming into number 6, we have every outcome / the cat theory. So let me tell you about Schrodinger's cat. This is a thought experiment and paradox that could imply multiple outcomes. So
it's dead or it's alive. It's your choice. It's unalive or it's
seal it, you would
Undead?
not
I don't know.
if the cat was alive or dead until you open the box. So, until the box is opened, the cat, in a sense, is both alive and dead. Are you with me? You might not be when I say the next sentence, but let's just say it anyway. So, electrons, little subatomic particles found in all atoms, can spin both forwards and backwards, but they can't spin in each direction at the same time.
As the old saying goes, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Even a
All right, commercials suck. We all know that.
Time, they choose an outcome. So, the cat could
Unless you are working with a qubit. A qubit is the third, and that's a quantum computing bit that can be yes, no, or maybe so. That's the way I put it, but basically it means 1, 0, or both. And that's a qubit. So she's only referring to positive, negative in atomic structure. She's not referring to the superseded positions we can create within quantum computing. So that wouldn't be added, but I just wanted to put that there. Like, we can supersede and take a 1 and make it a 0 or make it both within the quantum computing qubits.
both be alive and dead, or actually, maybe it's both. According to the parallel universe theories of Everett and Davis, the act of observation makes a universe diverge, and both universes can exist. There's one where the cat's alive and one where the cat's dead. They both come into existence. Every decision or situation could create a different outcome. It creates a diversion in the current
That's what we've been
universe,
talking about
making
this whole
four
time,
parallel
is divergent
universes.
universes.
Does it make sense? I guess the mind kind of boggles, but let me give you an example. There could be a universe out there where I didn't move to Canada, and obviously the world that I'm living in where I did. Obviously, for me, the difference in those two outcomes would have been very, very different. But then perhaps there's a world in which I decided to wear pink today and not yellow, which would still be different, but maybe less dramatically so. Or so I think. Who knows? Coming into number 5, we have the interaction. Michael Hall authored a paper on quantum theory, which includes the concept of every outcome. The cat both exists and doesn't exist. We just talked about this. Hall and a team from the Griffith University in Australia not only believe in the multiverse, but they believe that it interacts with our reality. They believe that infinite multiple worlds overlap and occupy the same region of space and time simultaneously.
Because
They
that's
think that the other worlds have subtle
it's making the
influences
shift
on
of
our
choice
own.
so
For
easy.
example, strange occurrences, miracles, according to the interaction theory, are as a result of the parallel universes. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought that actually your reflection didn't quite match up? Is it the multiverse? Coming in at number 4, we have the Mandela effect.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is classic parallel universe theory, and honestly,
This
this
one
one does freak me out the most because
get my
I guess
goat
I
very
had
much,
one
but
of those moments of thinking, my sweater
kind of off the
wasn't the way
topic,
I
too.
remembered it. So let
I'm
me
really watching stuff
explain.
about
The
portals.
Mandela effect is the name given to multiple shared but factually wrong memories. There are a bunch of people out there that remember freedom fighter and former president of South Africa. Now, similarly, astronomers have found
We're
so-called
gonna skip
cold
through.
areas of the universe. Now, these CMB cold spots are areas of the observable universe that we have interpreted in microwaves. Now, they seem to be unusually, well, cold. Many people call one particular area the Great Void. Now, it seems that this area of space-time contains 10,000 less galaxies than other areas of a similar size in space that have been studied. A lot of people, including scientists from the University of Durham, believe this to be evidence of a parallel universe that is smashed into ours, or are they overlapping? Is this, once again, the great interaction that we talked about? Coming in at number 2, we have dreams and the unconscious. Some people think that dreams and the time spent unconscious allows us to access a parallel universe. This is why we dream in 3D. Again, this is why dreams sometimes don't always make sense, because not every universe may have the same laws of physics that we do. This is why we often dream of people that are no longer in our lives that we haven't seen for years, because perhaps in a parallel universe, they're still around you. Or so the theory goes. Now, this theory seems to be held as a belief by some First Nations tribes, and I don't know, maybe there is something to it. Building on from this, at number 1, we
No
have
contest
coma
there, I'm not
stories.
gonna-
So this actually does get pretty crazy. Sleep is one thing, but extended periods of sleep or unconsciousness allow for people to access the parallel universe for a longer period of time. Maybe. There was
Alright.
a really, really sad story posted on
I don't know if she's going to touch on this, but what that kind of when you're sleeping, some people think that astral projection and sleep dreams are you visiting parallel worlds and interacting. So when you have a dream and you wake up and you feel like that dream was so real and everything was so real in that dream, well, you were interacting in a different universe with different people, different bodies, different stuff like that. But once you come back home to your natural universe, nothing's changed. You didn't make any changes here. You only were interacting with uh, that level over there. And sometimes your nightmares, your dreams, your desires, your fantasies, all three of those when you're sleeping, yeah, each one of those worlds are real. Your fantasy world, your dream world, your nightmare world, they're all real. They're all universes is what the theory says. So the theory is that when you dream, you are dreaming of the universe that you could pair with. That if you made the decisions, if you woke up, made the same decisions you made in your dreams, you would pair into that universe. You would fall and pull all your everything into that universe, and it would alter it. And that's what some people do. Some people go after their dreams and find those things and do those things. Let's keep going.
By Tempt to Sassoon 7 years ago. Now, they were involved in an accident and they were unconscious for a while, but during that period of unconsciousness, they lived 10 years of a different life. Now, in the story, they say that he met a woman, he loved the woman, they ended up getting married, they had 2 kids, and they were happy. They were living an almost perfect life. But one day, he noticed that something was wrong with the lamp in his living room. It was kind of melting and contorting in some way. It was after 3 days of staring at the lamp and many worried conversations with his wife that actually he came to the realization that the lamp wasn't real. It started to invert and take up his entire perspective until all he was aware of was red-hot pain. Now, he awoke from his period of unconsciousness and discovered that the 10 years that he'd spent with his wife and children simply weren't real. He dreamed it all up somehow. He said he spent the next 3 years of his life in a state of severe depression, grieving the loss of a wife and child that actually just weren't real. He thought he was going insane. He said, I've had many personal messages describing similar experiences and 3 posters stating such experiences are impossible.
That's
I said there
intense.
needs to be more research done into brain function. Pre-med students don't assume you know everything. Honestly, I don't know what it was about that story, but it really got to me. It was kind of horrifying and creepy. But the young man, did he simply awake in a parallel universe? This is just one story of many. I've read a lot of coma stories like this where people think that they've lived other lives. I don't know. Has anyone seen the TV show The OA, for example? They talk about that a lot. Is it a sign of a parallel universe? Honestly, I feel a bit creeped out.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the story of Carol Chase McElhenney. One day in 2006, Carol was driving through San Bernardino,
All right.
California on her way to Paris, California, where she was going to stay for a few days. On her travels, she saw a sign for Riverside, which was nearby, and she decided that since her family had roots there, maybe it was time to stop in for a visit. As she went into Riverside, she realized that everything looked different from how she remembered it and was unable to find her old house that she grew up in. She tried to go to the street that her grandmother used to live on, but that one was different
I think we
too.
already saw it.
And when she tried to visit her
All right. So that's it. That's how it's gonna go. That's how it's gonna float. I think we're gonna switch over to some video games. So let's see how that works. I'm gonna see if this game is ready for play. And I haven't played in a couple weeks, so it might need a quick little update. They're usually fast, so don't worry. Today we're gonna play some Gundam Breaker Mobile. Yeah, it'll be super fast download. No sweat here. We're just gonna play 15 minutes or so of Gundam Breaker Mobile, and then we're gonna pass it off for the night. It's Tuesday night, and we don't need to have a long show tonight. Not as long as the other day, but we're doing pretty good. You know, here at WebC Official, we work our butts off to do things like the late night load, and we're really trying our hardest to pull you guys in and stuff like that. All right. Oh, I get to get free stuff. Free stuff. Free stuff. Free stuff. All right, capsule tickets. Let's find out where those are. All right. So I'm playing the game here. You'll see me playing it on the screen. So I'm going to zoom in and get rid of my photo, and you guys will be able to just see me see the game. If I'm live and I can still talk, I'm still here. So go ahead, drop questions if you got any questions, or tell me what I'm doing wrong if you see me doing anything wrong. Camphor quote. My battery power is low. Oh, cool. He's not too good. Not the greatest pilot, but don't worry. Show you my actual Gundam. Yeah, what do you think of that guy? This is my main Gundam. Hopefully that works. Oh, it's so annoying. Kind of trivial, right? Loading. Yeah. So I'm being quiet. It's just kind of what this game's about. I'm just like making sure I'm doing everything I can to make all my suits better that I like to use. All right. Just gonna open up some parts. Yes. All right, you guys. I think I bored you enough with my game for the night. I got a little quiet there. I know I did. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a great night. This has been another late night.